Elder Chief Muili Ojo was born in Ibadan at Abaibejo Ganganshi on our local government to the family of late Chief Muili Ojo Somanu, the late Baale of Ganganshi area, and late Aisha Alake Somanu, who was the Yardini of Ganganshi area, comprising about 42 villages. I started schooling in Ibadan, and I attended secondary school in Ibadan before I went to overseas London for my furtherance of my education. I decided not to expose all now because of what I've suffered through boxing, because that's why I decided not to expose my life biography to anybody again, because it has been used adversely against my life. This journey started in 1956 through the Boys and Girls Club movements in Ibadan, under the watchful eyes of late Pa S. Adeshoyege, who was assisted by Papa B. Yolawi, and of course our living legend in social development, Lasisi Ayuade Busari, is currently living. They were the officers in charge of Boys and Girls movements in Ibadan that time, and I belonged to Ojagbo Boys and Girls Club, and the keen rivalry and competition among clubs then involved engaging in all activities: sports, cultural activities, broadcasting, literary and debating, farming, carpentry, and all sorts, because the clubs were being engaged at that time for all various types of life endeavors. And later on, through the grace of God, I became the Secretary General of Ibadan Federation of Boys and Girls Clubs, the position I held until I traveled overseas in 1968. That time, I was number 7 footballer outside, right, we were calling it that time. And by the grace of God, I was a corner kick specialist. But because of the stature and not many competitions that time, when there was a request for members of Boys and Girls Club movement to join officiating, I had to join football referees circle, and by the grace of God, I rose to the rank of a Grade 1 football referee, and I retired as a Grade 1 football referee in the year 1978. Before then, I had the opportunity of refereeing most turbulent games: Shooting Stars versus WNDC, Rangers Vasco, Niger Tornadoes, etc. I had the opportunity being summoned to go to other states, regions then, to officiate football. And I was combining that with boxing. When I was a member of the boxing Boys and Girls Club movement, I also took part in boxing and representing Ojagbo Boys and Girls Club at various weight categories, Firstly, this category then was paperweight, and by the grace of God, I was the champion of Ibadan in paperweight class. Later on, it was changed to strawweight. I was also the champion, and it is interesting to let you know that late Joseph Ladipo, Joselad, was my boxing opponent and sparring partner. He was then representing Beyenuka Boys and Girls Club. After then, because of the dearth of competitions and boxers to compete with us, because in the whole country then we had only 3 boxers in our class, and our class was not recognized at the international level then. So I was enticed to join boxing officiating, and I qualified as a national boxing referee judge in the year 1963. With that, I had the opportunity of attending national competitions in so many states. That time we had 12 states then, before they got to 19 and what you have now. Having said that, the opportunity came that they needed to upgrade some of us in Africa. And so I was nominated to go to Zambia in 1968. And I must say that because of let's say unhealthy rivalry, the then chairman of Nigeria Boxing Association, had attended the course twice and failed. So when he got to the 3rd attempt in 1968, Justice Muili Ojo was the chairman of Western State then insisted that he should not go for the 3rd time, that one young boy, Ojo, should go. So the NABA decided that whoever wanted to go should sponsor himself. And fortunately, we were burying my father's mother's burial when Justice Muili Ojo came to me to inform me that I should go if I had the money. And through the grace of God, I went and sponsored myself. And by the grace of God, instead of passing at the continental level, I had a pass as a judge, because that was the procedure then. You cannot pass at one sitting as a referee judge. You have to pass as a judge first, spend 2-3 years before you can take your exam as a referee judge. And that gave me the opportunity of being registered on the international list in Nigeria. In fact, I was the 3rd person to be registered that time. Coincidentally, in 1974, in Uganda, Kampala, I went for the upgrading course. Late Major General Yagweso, who was the twice to Idi Amin, was the chairman of Uganda then, and was my coursemate. We took the course, and by the grace of God, I qualified. I had the double combination qualification as a referee judge. With that, I had the opportunity of going to the first Olympics in 1976, followed by the Moscow Olympics in 1980. It is in Moscow Olympics that I was opportuned and had the greatest grace of God to win an award for Nigeria. The Nigerian contingent to the Olympic Games in Moscow did not win any gold medal. But to the glory of God, Muili Ojo won an award for the country. And what was the award? the award of being the first Nigerian to referee Olympic Games finals and the first African to referee the Games finals in the Olympics. It was widely celebrated by the International Boxing Association then, and they lavishly organized my birthday party, which came up on the 1st of August 1980. Having said that, I had the grace of God with the assessment being offered by the International Federation that time, because when at any competition, be it Olympics, Commonwealth Games, they will invite 42 referees, 6 per country and some reserves. And the policy was that the best 12 will get the ticket for the next competition. And through the grace of God, I had always come between number 1 to 5 in the world rating. And that gave me the opportunity of being in all the competitions throughout. After the 1980 Olympics, I had the opportunity to go to the Los Angeles Olympics, 84, 88 Olympics, and 92 and 96 Olympics. But the greatest shock of my life came in 2001, when I didn't know what was happening until one close friend of mine, who was a close friend, praying partner, Reverend Muili, came to my house shouting my wife's name, Mama Ojo, Mama Ojo, Mama Ojo, where are you? Where are you? What happened to my friend? That they declared him dead. They just announced this, the death over the radio. They've just announced in the radio Nigeria that you are already dead. And that we should go to his house because his wife is a teacher, that she couldn't go to school. Weeping at home, mourning my death. We quickly rushed to his house behind the area command's office. When we got there, the wife was shocked to see me, like she was seeing a ghost. Say, but we had it in the news that they were celebrating your death in Australia. Quickly I said, where did you hear? He said, from Radio Nigeria. We rushed down to Radio Nigeria. Sam Osaiwa was the sports editor there. He was see who read the news. It was a newspaper comments they were making that time. Getting to Sam Osaiwa's office, I saw Adeoti. He was then the sports editor of Tribune. They were shocked to see me. Baba, you are not dead. He said, I've just called Sam now that we should go to your house to come and find out what was happening. I said, Sam, how can you declare me dead when I'm alive? He said, Baba, he's from newspaper report now. He said, which newspaper? It's the Vanguard. Can I have a copy? I said, okay, let's go. I must buy a copy to confirm. So we went to Kingsway. You know Kingsway is opposite Radio Nigeria there. We bought the copy, I saw it. Referee Muili Ojo declared dead while alive. I read it. I was weeping. So I came back home. Started to make some inquiries. And the results showed me that the letter came, and that's the normal thing then. The letter came to the Nigerian Amateur Boxing Association. declaring my nomination. It's the Nigerian Amateur Boxing Association that will pass the information to me for necessary and further action. But when the letter got there, they did not pass the information to me. They wrote back to Iva that not me in person, that the person they wrote for had died, and that they suggested another name to replace me. Then Iva wrote back that regarding their condolences for my sudden death, and that it was not the policy for any country to nominate. That is the responsibility of the Referees and Judges Commission to nominate. Having said that, when they got to the Olympics, they wanted to start the normal preliminary meeting. Then they were, my colleagues were given the boxers and the coaches and the others the flower of wreath expressing their condolences over my death. Then my good friend, he was the director now then, Dr. Adamu, fortunately stumbled to that gathering and listened to what they were saying. And you know, anytime he was passing, he was going, all the reporters would be going around him because he was the officer in charge of sports for Nigeria. So they listened, and Adamu told them that Ojo was not there though. That 4 days ago when he left Nigeria, he saw him hale and hearty. But the reporter of Vanguard just published that. It was that Osaiwa read in the newspaper. I had to fire a letter to the minister and Nigeria Olympic Committee saying that the matter should be thoroughly investigated. They did that, but they appealed to me in the interest of sports to please shift my sword, because I wanted to write what exactly happened to the International Federation. We could have led to Nigeria's suspension. And because I thought I should be nationalistic in everything, I decided to keep it going. Not that alone. The chairman, the late chairman of Referees and Judges Commission for the whole world came from Egypt, Dr. Usman. He died, and they held a meeting in Lomé, asking for replacement of whoever was to replace him for the expiration of the term. I don't know the criteria they employed, but they felt Muili Ojo was the best to take that position. But a Nigerian who was at that meeting, because that person was the vice president of Nigeria now, told them that Ojo was blind and that to get from his bedroom to the sitting room was a problem. So they nominated another person, General Mohammed from Egypt. After the meeting now, the secretary of the R&G Commission for Africa then, Bayo, is from Oyo, but the father migrated to Benin, Republic of Benin. So former coach Femi, who was the head coach of Lagos, Coach Femi led the Nigerian delegation to a boxing team to that place. And I called Femi, when did my friend die? And when did he lose his sight? Then Femi said, he has not lost his sight, now he can walk around. Then he said, but such a person, I just declared him that he's blind. That's why we did not elect him as chairman for the R&G Commission for the next 2.5 years for the expiration of the term. So Femi called me immediately. I spoke to Bayo. I said, Bayo, That is one of the Nigerian politics for you. Having said that, I had the grace of attending 6 Olympic Games, which is a record to be broken by any referee in the whole world now. Because the new rule says you cannot go for any Olympics more than once. But I had the grace of attending 6. The 7th one was aborted through proclaiming that I was dead. On sports achievement, I would say I also achieved in handball. When I was senior sports organizer with the Oyo State Sports Council, I was in charge of boxing and handball. And sports-wise, 1980 was a year I will never forget in my life, because I had 3 awards in 1980. It was in the same 1980 that Colonel Ishola Williams, now General Ishola Williams, he was the chairman of Nigeria Handball Association then, organized a cup, African Cup, for late Mohammed, late head of state, and I was in charge of medical subcommittee. And it was then I also won an award of the best handball organizer in Nigeria, male in Sobato. The secretary of Gongola at that time also won the award as the best female organizer. For 17 years, I was the technical director of Nigeria Amateur Boxing Association, solely in charge of organizing all the tournaments. And by the grace of God also, we inaugurated Nigeria Boxing Referees and Judges Association at Enugu in 1974. And I held the position as the Secretary General until 1991, when I was appointed as the President. And each year I was being returned on a post until I called it quits in 2006. I had the privilege of being a member of the Referees and Judges Commission of International Federation for 18 years, and also a member of the Technical and Rules Commission, where we drafted the rules, amend the rules there and there for 19 years. And this gave me the greatest honor, being a member. We had only 2 from Africa, and Nigeria being 1 or 2. Each time they wanted to do, Ojo would be returned on the post. The last All African Games in 2003, I was the competition manager in charge of boxing. And the report of International Boxing Federation through the General Supervisor, General Francis Yangweso, and Dr. Salem Besalem declared the Olympic the All African Games boxing of 2003 as one of the best organized so far then. It was then we rushed the competition to go for Afro-Asian Games, the first Afro-Asian Games. And I didn't know what they considered making Ojo the general team manager of boxing. So I took the African team to India, Hyderabad, where we had a competition. And what do I say? If I want to continue to say, it's going to take a whole day. Very much. You know, I said that if I wanted to go further, we'll spend a whole day. The Iku Baba Yeye, His Imperial Majesty Oba Lamidi Olaiwola Adeyemi III, has been my close friend through boxing. Traditionally, it's my father. And we have been having very good time together. I'm happy you said you had mentioned so many things about me. It started from the cradle, and up till now we are still together. In fact, the award I won in 2016, which I went to take in Abuja, I first dedicated it to God, my family, and Obalamidi Adeyemi. And let me tell you this, that by the grace of God, in less than 3 weeks' time, Obalamidi Adeyemi is going to take his own award too. The venue is being decided. They want to change it from Abuja to somewhere I should not mention now because it has not been finalized. Now, I've met so many important personalities through boxing or associated with them. Late General Sam Ogbemodia of blessed memory. We were very, very close. You will not believe that the current emir of Ilorin was our good friend and is still our good friend. Sulu. The first chairman of ICPC, General Justice Mustafa Kabi, prolific boxer, scientific. We met that time. And all these junior ones like Fatai and others came after us. Do you know that Sonny Ade also boxed? And he did very well. That one of his uncles, Adewale, who later on became the head coach in Ondo State, he sponsored him to England because of his interest in boxing. What of Emeka Omera? I must tell you that before the first what was he held there? Azikwe. Baba Azikwe was also a boxer that we were moving together. So if I'm only saying all the prominent ones, what of the younger ones? Too numerous to mention. Lucky Beledo. I introduced him to boxing. This General Yeni and others. My good friend, late Captain Jonathan. You know he achieved a lot. I won't say more than that. Through which, you know it yourself, that how close we were. Within a week, Jonathan will come to Ibadan twice to come and see me on boxing. And that was why he achieved a great thing. And I must tell you that the immediate former Chief of Army Staff, General Kenneth Minima, is my very good friend. We started when he was a colonel at 82 Div. And since then we have not parted. Those are people we have met through boxing, either when we were boxing or when we were members of the RIJ or on the executive list.
Alright, apart from boxing, you know that you must have worked somewhere. You must have built a career somewhere and retired meritoriously. Can you let us into where you worked and when you retired?
Thank you very much. I want to start by saying that my late uncle wanted me to do law. Late Adeoye Adisa, for somebody to inherit his chambers. But because at the early age, I started with these Boys and Girls Club movements, I had to decide to pursue that. And I took the first appointment in 1963 6th of June 1963, when that my uncle was the minister in charge of local government and information. And I was there. They employed me as information assistant. But the problem they had was that within a month, they would request for my release from the national body and the National Sports Commission. So there was nothing they could do. They had to release me because it's in the GO, leave for sporting events. But later on, I was seconded on transfer to the Ministry of Social Development, where I was in charge of boys and girls club movements. First of all, I was in Ibadan before I was transferred to Osogbo. And I forgot to tell you, it is through boxing and football that I knew General David Medaishi Jembewa. In fact, if I begin to tell you that story, you will know how to rate him better. He was then the commanding officer of this brigade at Abeokuta, where the Shooting Stars had the Challenge Cup finals with the team, and I was the referee. The Shooting Stars defeated them 3-1. That's how I got to know him better. It's a story for another time because that's not the question you asked me. From the Ministry of Social Development, I was in charge of sport. They moved me back, they transferred me back to Ibadan through the visit of the governor there to Osogbo. When he saw me, said, "You are in Osogbo." I said, "You must see me anytime you come to Ibadan." So the PS just came back, and the second day they transferred me to Ibadan. And from the Ministry of Social Development, when I was there, I was the representative. Even when I was in the Ministry of Local Government and Information, I was representing the ministry and the Ministry of Social Development on the Sports Council level. And you know, the director then, High Chief Emiola Adesina, is very, very highly intelligent, astute, and forward-looking, and an achiever. So I did not wonder when Shooting Stars gave him the best award of the first director whose team achieved the defeat in 1976. I didn't know he was pressurizing through the government that I should be transferred to the Oyo State Sports Council. When I got, then my PS at that time, Mr. Odunta, told me that the following day I should attend the interview at the Civil Service Commission. It was when I got there that they wanted me badly at the Sports Council. And Papa Adesina was the consultant. And he said, they decided I should begin to pack my dues to the Sports Council. And that's why I got to the Sports Council in 1st of January 1977. And because of the intrigues in the Sports Council, whoever goes to work with the Sports Council, any of the Sports Councils, should pray for his success. Let me close my chapter. I retired in 1984 as senior sports organizer, who was then in charge of Oyo Zone. That's the end of the career there. Before I took up appointment as technical director, African Boxing Confederation and the International Federation. The problems are many, but one, government itself is not giving boxing the desired attention it should give. It was boxing that first gave Nigeria the recognition in the whole world. That first gave Nigeria the first recognition by the Ogambasi and the Tigers winning. But the attention is only on football. All resources, 95% spent on football. The lesser sports can die. Like you have been saying, it's a big shame that up till now, even the country Nigeria cannot boast of well-equipped boxing gymnasium. We have to thank late Gukate Ayonote, who initiated one in Lagos. And I want to give a special kudu to my friend, General Minima, who has refurbished the boxing center there. Though to his own capacity, I know how many millions he spent there. But is it not a shame that Nigeria cannot boast of an ordinary one boxing gym in Nigeria? Not to talk of Oyo State. Look, go to Adamasimba. The boxers are training on the main platform outside. Is that the idea? Facilities not there, equipment not there, encouragement not there. You see, when these upcoming boxers see those who have participated before and they could assess poverty rating from the head to toe, would they be enticed to do that? But we still have some patriotic sons and daughters of Ibadan joining boxing. But they are not recognized. They are not given the right position. Even equipment, no equipment to train. And the little ones available, very, very exorbitant. Joblessness. How do you get the boxers? The boxing centers I organized in Ibadan when I was the secretary. Until recently, now that I started to reorganize it. Then who could afford coming to Liberty Stadium or Adamasimba morning and evening among the boxers? No. But I tried my best. Currently speaking now, Ibadan has not less than 169 boxing clubs and 8 zones in Ibadan, which we think will be organizing competition, start of competition. When these athletes train day and night and there is no competition, how can the coaches assess them and assess their performances? Then, apart from that, willingness of parents to allow their words, because they feel boxing is a dangerous game. Whereas I was a member of the team that decided and processed why boxing should not be removed from the Olympics. And I can tell you, of all the sports recognized by the International Olympic Committee, boxing is number one that caters medically for its boxers. All other sports, in boxing, before you start boxing, a doctor must certify you fit. And at the first day of the month of the year, or latest first week of the year, you must get a certificate from a recognized doctor that you are fit to take part for boxing in that year. And anytime you want to box, you will be medically tested. After you will be medically tested. Which other sports look after that? No, except football. So boxing is not as dangerous as people used to be. And that's why sponsorship. The sponsors are only ready to sponsor only football. You can know why. The Nigeria factor. They have enough to just maneuver there. So these are some of the problems we have been facing in boxing, which some of us who started boxing in Nigeria don't feel happy, sincerely speaking. Since this year now, how many competitions did Nigeria Boxing Federation hold? Or your state boxing association? You are a member. How many competitions did you hold? None. How can the boxers perform very well? And we believe in fire brigade approach. It doesn't help us at all. 2 or 3 weeks to the Olympics, you gather the boys. Are they going to manufacture their legs? Yes. I was stunned in 84 Olympics. in Los Angeles, when the U.S. Boxing Association introduced the boxing team that will represent them in 1988 to us. You can imagine that 4 years in camp. Then you compare that person with somebody 2 weeks to the competition and they said you go and rush. Because the mind of our administrators is that just let them go and put something on paper that they have just trained, not thinking of whether they will be able to achieve or not. And we should change our attitude to do all these things. Thank you very much. By the grace of God, I had the opportunity of going to Obande School, just over there, to do some jogging. But yes, jogging. Till now. But the last 7 months, I have not been able to go do that again but I can tell you, I do that jogging around my house and within my facility, morning and evening, and engage in my exercises with my wife, because we are the only 2 people left. All the children have gone here and there. On the question whether any of my children, none of my children except the grandchildren now, because one of the things that says, Baba, the suffering you suffer, you can no way. But I'm happy now. 2 of my grandchildren are involved in sports, and if you see their age and you see their involvement, I'm very, very proud of them now. And I know in less than 5 years' time now, they'll be national champions. But it has been bothering me a lot. But I thank God now, I have the hope that before my death, by the grace of God, 1 or 2 of them will be national champions. Unfortunately, one has chosen karate. I said, but no, boxing. Where your people will declare you dead while you are alive. Let me first of all say, it depends on the category of the tournament. You know, I'm strictly going behind amateur boxing. And fortunately, we have created amateur professional board. I don't know which board is handling or something, but the policy is, my own policy is, anything boxing that I know they are they are doing things legally, I must contribute by quota. But I cannot be adequately involved in the activities. But if you say you want me there as a special guest of honor, I don't think I vowed